Doubling up on racing 2 from the previous category. Next on deck, 40 plus cab 3 men. Six men taking the start in this race. We are now underway with our 2 categories. And I expect fireworks out of all these boys.
Fireworks?
Hello, YouTube land. Welcome to another riveting hour-ish. I don't know. We'll see how long this video ends up being, but Criterium action coming to you from the Northern Colorado Law Enforcement Training Center in Loveland, Colorado, just south of Fort Collins. And we are racing on a police driver training course, which I like these. This is the third one in the, we'll call it the general Denver metro area that we've raced on. Smooth pavement. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's the fourth actually. But smooth pavement, some interesting corners, and you know, a venue that's otherwise not being used that day. We're happy to use it. But this is the men's 40 plus category 3 field, and at the start of the video, you would have seen we saw riding off in the distance the 40 plus category 1, 2, 3's field. We started 20 or 30 seconds behind them. In fact, you can see them up ahead there. Spoiler alert, we're not going to catch them, but this course is a little over a mile long. You see the route at the bottom right there, and here we're kind of in the twisty section. I've already gone through a right-left chicane, coming into a hairpin here, cut across that painted gore area, and then out of the saddle then heading towards the next 180, and then a sweeper back to the left, and then we'll be at the start-finish. So, no, a fun course. We raced on this in the opposite direction in early April, and now May 1st we're back doing it counterclockwise. So as you may have heard at the start, there are 6 of us in the 40 plus 3's field, 3 riders from Modern Market, all of whom you can see right now. James Stevens, wait, I gotta remember everyone's name. James Stevens, Scott Hogg, and Bennett Hugg. There's myself and my teammate with Stem Ciders Racing, Peter Gee, and also David Kendall with Houndstooth Racing, with whom I've shared a couple podiums over the years. So, you know, a group of guys that, well, I don't know all of them, but, you know, small but seasoned group. We're chasing after, not really chasing, but we're on this course at the same time as 15 or 16 category 1, 2, 3 riders. And so we're pretty much just doing tempo around the course right now. There's a little bit of wind. Right now we just turned back to the south. The wind is south, kind of southeast, so kind of a head crosswind coming this way. It's not too warm. You see Scott ahead of me wearing arm warmers. I am too, but I'd say upper 50s. The sun is trying to peek out. Here we come into the right-left chicane again. So at this stage I'm kind of experimenting with different lines here. I'm coming into the hairpin, get a bit of a late apex to stay inside at the exit, trying to get a jump out of it. And who knows, see if I can get a little gap, maybe soften up some legs behind me. But pretty soon it's going to dawn on me that there's no way that we're going to stay out in front of the 1, 2, 3's field. And what I didn't mention is that the chief referee at the start announced that different groups can commingle and work together on course. So if you get caught by another group, you can hop in with them, you can work with them, you can do whatever you want. And so the scenario that comes to mind is, well, wait a minute, if I work my tail off to try and break away from this group and they get caught by the 1-2-3s, they'll just get carried right back up to me. So there's not a whole lot of point in doing a ton of work right now, unless someone was obviously having a hard time hanging on, but that's not going to be the case with this group, certainly this early in the race. So yeah, at some point it's like, well, I'll stretch my legs a little bit, but no point in doing a whole lot of work. Not that that'll stop me from working, of course. So as I said, I was experimenting with lines. It didn't quite work out this time through the hairpin. Whoa! Kind of changed my mind halfway through.
I was going to stay inside, but didn't work out.
And the wind comes through there and it'll bobble you.
Yeah, I bobbled. He's training. I've got scratch if you need some.
I think that's Matt Skurva on the front once again.
So there's my teammate Peter D at the front, followed by Scott Hogg. All three of us on Specialized Tarmac SL7s. They're a nice bike. I like my Tarmac a lot. So I mentioned we raced at this same venue back in April, going the opposite direction. A little surge here. I'll hop on that. But we raced clockwise, not quite a month ago, and Peter was racing in the 40+3s and actually crashed in this very hairpin. Didn't enjoy that, but kudos to him for getting back out there. But yeah, I kept looking across the field, and I mean, you can see the 123's field on the main straightaway going away from us there. I'll come in and take a little dig anyway, but it's pretty apparent that, yeah, we're going to get caught. So, might as well mix things up in the meantime, have some fun, but there's no real honest-to-goodness breakaway attempts going on. And there's David Kendall in the orange BMC.
So he doesn't want to do too much work and drag things back together.
But if I hadn't said it already, I really did enjoy this course. Like I say, the pavement is great. There's some transitions between asphalt and concrete, but everything was smooth. They swept the course in preparation for the race, which was great. The long sweeping 180s at either end are actually banked a little bit, which is pretty cool. See the observation tower on the right side there. So it looks like, the 123's field starting to break up a little bit. They got 3 riders going off the front, but as we're approaching the chicane on subsequent laps, you can get a sense of how much farther ahead they're progressing. So I'm shooting this footage on a GoPro Hero 9 Black, and I need to check the settings. I think I've got the image stabilization turned up to maximum, which really makes this, smooths out the image. You can see at the upper right my front brake lever body sticking out some of the time. You can see how much it's moving. Now, of course, the camera is fixed to the handlebar. So I mean, okay, there's some finite amount of flex of the handlebar, but otherwise, the camera should, or the brake lever should appear fixed in the camera image. The fact that it's moving around shows you how much correction the image stabilization is doing. And the problem is when I get out of the saddle, you can't really tell, except for the noise. It's kind of, so I need to see if there's some lower setting for stabilization. But on a bumpy road, yeah, it's amazing. But no bumps on this track. So I'm realizing now this is, I think this is the only time in this early portion of the race that I was this far back. There's, I'm fifth wheel, so there's one rider, one of the Mod Market riders behind me. It's really been a doofus. I should have just been sitting on the back, really just coasting, just surfing the wheels back there. Once once it dawned on me that it was a foregone conclusion we were going to get caught, and probably we were going to hop on, but I wasn't sure. So, but anyway, live and learn. So you see the lead moto going through the chicane right there, and there are 7 category 1, 2, 3 riders at the head of the 1, 2, 3's race. And so just, you know, keep track of them. You'll be able to see them from time to time off to the side as we look across the course.
As a peloton, we better agree on what we're doing. I say we let them go, but if you're gonna go with them, let's agree on that now. Being awful cagey on that point. It's gonna be in my video too.
So again, doofus me, I want to at least breach the subject, because I know it's going to happen, but I don't want anyone to be surprised. I don't know. I guess it's just that I've been in other events where the rule specifically was you can't work with other groups on course. So, you know, since we are explicitly allowed to do that, it would really be, I don't know, a competitive disadvantage, I guess, not to. Well, the stronger you are, the more you want to sit in with the 1, 2, 3s. Plain and simple. It comes down to just who can surf their wheels and make the jumps out of the corners with the 1, 2, 3s the longest. So that's what it's going to be, and again, that's why I should have been just absolutely not doing a lick of work. Hell, I could have dropped back as soon as I saw a selection was made and the gap stabilized between the lead group and the rest of the field in the 1, 2, 3s. Just drop back and sit in with them, because they're probably going to have toned it down a little bit by that point. But you can see them off on the right side there, heading towards the hairpin. 7 of them. So again, that's about half their field. But here I am doing, 300 plus watts at the front. Why? I don't really know. But oh well. I suppose you could say I'm doing openers for when we do get caught.
I think there's no point in doing shit till we get left. But I have to assume these guys are gonna sit in. So let's just plan on that. Alright? Sit in on the 1, 2, 3s.
still until we're caught. I do want to kind of keep it together, and I could see Bennett kind of going up the road a little bit, and his two teammates hanging back to try and artificial create a gap. So Peter right now is jumping up to close that gap. But again, you can see how the 1, 2, 3s are closing on us from behind. But the scenario might be, let's say, as the 1, 2, 3s catch us, they have someone jumping off the front of their group, and they get away from us, and then that lead rider or those riders attacking catch up to one of the 3s that's off the front of our group, and then suddenly they have a breakaway. I don't know how likely that is, but it's what my instinct is to keep it together.
Acceleration coming out of our 40-plus.
I don't think there's any point, Pete.
I feel bad here because really it was my turn to cover an attack, but I got up to Pete and I said, I don't think there's any point. But so Pete attacked. Sorry, man. I'm such a bad teammate. But he set off in pursuit. That's obviously the strongest attack we've seen so far.
We're gonna get caught by the 1, 2, 3s. They'll just pull us up.
And so what do? I put in a little dig because, well, why not? I guess I just like to animate things.
There was no agreement on what we're doing when we get caught.
Yeah, I need to spend less time yelling and more time racing my bike. I think I'll put a little sticker on my stem that says that. Shut up and ride. Oh my god. Trying to add drama to the proceedings, I guess. I don't know. But now my heart rate's getting right up there, so had to dig pretty good. So I mean, you know, there's still value in attacking to soften up your opponent's legs, but you don't want to burn your own matches. So I don't know. It's always a balancing act. So I'll go ahead and mention these cones on the exit to the chicane. I'm not a big fan of cones along race courses. Thankfully, the lines of sight were good, so it was easy enough to gauge your exit, so you could get up pretty close to those cones. You weren't going to hit them. In a field of 100, it might get pretty interesting if someone got pushed out into them. And I mean interesting in a bad way. All right, but there's the lead moto, just about to go through that sweeper into the hairpin. So it's getting pretty close. About one more lap, we'll get caught.
Taken advantage of. I want to give the guys an armchair ride.
Until the breakaways passes. Well, we got to at least let the field pass us. Yeah, I get that. All right.
So there, what I'm saying is that when we do get caught, we can't. It wouldn't be good form for us to just insert ourselves at the front of their group. We need to at least let them pass, and then hop on at the back.
Once we're through this corner, hold to the right after this corner.
And in fact, you saw the lead moto was smart. He actually waited at the chicane and actually cut through the course. So he got in front of us, catches our attention. But at this point, we just pull over off the racing line. And 29 minutes in, we're caught by the head of the 1-2-3 field. Now, someone after the race said, "Well, why did you hop onto the breakaway?" And I still think this isn't so much a breakaway as it was a split in the field. So if we were going to mix with the 1-2-3s, this was an appropriate place to do it. But here I am sitting on Carlos Casali's wheel, Carlos with Black Swift Cycleton, and he's doing the smart thing. They've established their gap. I don't know what the gap is right now between the 1-2-3 groups, but he's sitting on the back, not doing any more work than he has to. So, but we're committed now. It's how long can you stick with this group? And these guys are freaking fast. 40-plus open field in Colorado is national caliber. So buckle your seat belts. Here we go. So the complexion of this race is very, very different now. We're in a bigger group, sitting at the back, having a break coming into the hairpin, jumping out of the hairpin at over 800 watts, which for me is a lot, with guys who are being a lot more aggressive than we have been. It is really a tale of two races. But, you know, we just got to keep riding. So my goal is just to be the first of the threes for as long as I can, but this is taking a lot more effort than I've been putting out. My heart rate's going to stay above 160 from pretty much from here on out. And as we round the south end of the course, this sweeping 180 onto the front stretch, now we've got Mealy tailwind, and it's actually it's actually pretty damn hard because you don't have as much benefit from the draft. If the guys up front are drilling it, you know, chasing to close the gap in a tailwind is actually quite hard. But thankfully, I was grateful every time they slowed down a notch, but they didn't stay that way for long. So there I was talking to Scott with Modern Market saying, well, you know, it was either all or nothing. And he knew this was going to happen. So I was just concerned there was hard feelings. But again, if you're a strong rider, you're in the catbird seat now, because you know that anyone without as many matches to burn as you do is going to have a real tough time before the end of this race. I don't know. I guess I just haven't done a lot of mixed field, or I'm sorry, multiple fields on the course at once racing. So finally, Scott passes me, and I'm no longer the first three in line. I'm just trying not to drop back further now. So the 1, 2, 3s keep attacking each other. I feel like a gnat in a room full of elephants just saying, don't step on me. But I want to keep up with the other threes. So I don't know. This is an interesting scenario for me. I've raced with the 40 plus 1, 2, 3s before, most notably at Littleton. But there it's all one field, so it's just a matter of staying up there. Now, Carlos drops back. I don't want to mess him up, so now I've got additional pressure to stay close to the wheel in front, because I really don't want to adversely affect any of their races. And now this rider in blue in front of me looks like he's getting gapped, and I'm like, well, crap, am I about to get dropped here? Is he just tail gunning? I don't know. So I guess I've decided this rider looks tired enough. It's like, well, I need to get in front of him. So I try to squeeze up. I put a hand on his hip. And he says no. And I'm like, okay, sorry, never mind. And Carlos sees that going on and says, who is this idiot? And smartly comes around me. Meanwhile, Scott Hogg there, in the yellow, is moving up. The rider I thought was dogging it moves to the front. So I don't know. So the question was, do we finish at the same time as the 1, 2, 3s? And I said, as far as I know, everyone gets a bell at the same time, and then you got one more lap. But the officials did tell us, if you were in danger of getting caught right in the middle of another field sprint, they might ring the bell a lap early for you and have you finish a lap early, and then they just place you accordingly. You're not penalized for having done one lap less. But that's not really the situation here. We're already combined with this group. I mean, we're assimilated. Oh, come on, Pete.
Come on, Pete, come on.
I'm like, I'd be happy to jump around you, but I'd rather you just close that gap. So I'll just yell at you, because that's how I roll. The nice thing is this group was big enough that the back of the group slows down a bit for these sharp corners. So even if you get a bit of a gap, you can kind of roll back up onto them, coming into the hairpin or coming into these tighter corners. But now I'm slipping further and further back in the 3s. I don't think I ever mentioned this is a 50-minute race, so we're coming up on 39 minutes now. Oh, one rider goes off. Thankfully, he can hop back on. But yeah, this is starting to take a toll on me. Every jump out of the corners. Maybe not burning a whole match every time, but certainly starting to light it. You'll probably start hearing me really breathe like a freight train. But they slow down a bit, let the heart rate come down a couple beats, hopefully. But of course, if these guys slow down, then somebody's going to attack, and then everybody chases, so no rest for the wretched. Now watch Pete 2 wheels ahead of me coming into the hairpin. Pete got bumped by the guy outside of him as he's setting up for the corner, which messes up his line for the hairpin, which makes him slow way down for the hairpin, and now we've got to close this gap afterwards. This hurt. But Pete was none too happy about that. Can't say I blame him, but hey, you know, you gotta protect yourself. So. Speaking of protecting yourself, so here comes a gap is forming. I need to get up the inside of these riders. I shove that guy in the hip because he's coming in to the inside of the corner. I just basically stiff-armed him, gently, but still stiff-armed to try and get past him on the inside. So I wasn't closing a bigger gap than this. It was hard enough as it was. And now I'm sitting here gapped, and Carlos is going to come around me again. Yeah, I think that's Greg in the blue there. Greg and I were in a breakaway for a bit at City Park a few years back. I guess in 2016 probably. But he's a 2 now. I had peaked long ago. But yeah, now they decide, okay, we'll let Garrett work some more. So, okay, fine. So at this point, I think, I forget, I think we saw 3 laps to go that last time. Now you hear me huffing and puffing. Now, of course, someone who deserves a shout-out is Justin Little, right in front of me, with Black Swift Cycleton. Justin will end up winning this race. I will be nowhere near him when he scores that victory. Spoiler alert. But well done for Justin. So just inside 2 laps to go, the attacks are coming fast and furious. I'm falling back to the field. My heart rate certainly isn't maxed, but man, I just wasn't feeling it at this point. My training, I've not done enough training up in this at this end of the power spectrum, and I need to. But yeah, I'm pretty much starting to blow up. My only saving grace here is we got a bit of a headwind, so I can get some shelter from the other riders, and the back of the field will slow a bit coming into these corners. So I'm telling Pete, just stick with Mod Market, please. Saying hi to the cones. And that was one jump too many out of that hairpin. I just don't have it. Now, what I hadn't realized was the leaders, the 1, 2, 3's leaders, are about to catch can lap the rest of their field. And while I'm going to get gapped here and not be a factor up ahead of me, it was going to be a bit chaotic. Yeah, you can see the front half of the the trailing half of the 1-2-3 field about to be caught. But not my problem. You can see I've shut the burners off. I've had enough. The 50 plus race, which I would have done if I hadn't had so much work to do this morning and had gotten up here earlier from Denver, was 45 minutes. So apparently I've got 45 minutes worth of fitness. I don't know.
Very complicated in that group now with all three groups merged together, but off the front, Scoreless still trying to try something good.
Yeah, sorry for the language, folks. I wasn't too happy with myself at that point. I knew I'd kind of outfoxed myself early in the race. I really should have just sat in, but you know, I'm never content to do that. Maybe it's a weakness, but I have fun by animating things. But that was only the opening act. It was once we got caught by the 1-2-3s that stuff got serious, and at that point we might as well have just started as one big field. But again, we didn't get caught until the selection had already been made. So it was interesting, very interesting race. So kudos to Mod Market. Let me pull the results up again. Yeah, we had James Stevens won, Scott Hogg in second. David Kendall stayed right up there. You know what? Looking at the results, they've misclassified. They put me fourth and Peter Gee fifth, but Peter's in front of me, so I'll drop him a note and see if we can get that changed. Bennett, I think, lost contact after we got caught by the 1-2-3s, but he raced earlier in the day. I'm still cussing myself out. But anyway, Bennett and David Kendall both raced the 50 plus 1-2-3s earlier in the day, actually just 20 minutes before the start of this race. So kudos to them. I don't like doing the double anymore because I'm just not that good or strong. But, you know, had fun. I love this course. I love criteriums. And, you know, I just got to work harder next time. So we'll let it roll on through. But thanks to White Line Productions for putting on another race. Sorry they weren't able to do the Koppenberg this year, but with the devastation of the Marshall Fire, I guess the time just wasn't right. So look forward to heading back up to Koppenberg someday. But for now, it's going to be the Louisville Criterium next in 12 days' time. Looking forward to that. So from all of us at STEM Siders Racing, hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you on the next one. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and get out there and race your bike.
Well, I should have seen that coming.
Indeed.